Our house could really use a makeover. How about new siding?
I've been thinking the same thing. Have you heard of James Hardy?
Yes! Sarah down the street had Roofing Service Company install James Hardy siding on their home, and they love it.
Roofing Service Company does have great reviews.
They took her through the design process and made everything super easy.
Roofing Service Company offers expert design and installation. Couple that with James Hardy's durable products and variety of colors, you and your family will love your exterior remodel. Just visit roofingservicecompany.com. That's roofingservicecompany.com.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
It's basketball season, and Salt Mine City is your pregame and postgame headquarters in the Haymarket for craft beers and great food. Get ready for the game with their big, fatty 7-ounce hamburger or try a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. And don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, your basketball headquarters, now open at 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday and 11 a.m. Friday through Sunday at 8th and R.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
If one of the things running through your mind as a business owner is the recurring worry of possible cyber attacks, you can let out a sigh of relief. Hamilton Business Technologies has you covered. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we offer real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and more to keep your data safe from harm. We care about the success of Nebraska businesses and communities like yours. Learn how we can help you at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is Ticket Weeknight, starting off here, as always, on a Monday night. Austin Orman with you here, as always, for the Husker Football Hour. Alongside on our Allo Fiber VIP line is Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald. Big thanks to Allo Fiber for their sponsorship of our VIP line. Allo Fiber is where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Let's go to that Allo Fiber VIP line. Let's bring him in. Lead sports columnist of the Omaha World Herald. It is Tom Shatel. Tom, a happy Monday evening to you. How are you, good sir?
Good. What's going on tonight?
Oh, same as ever. Nebraska ball keeps rolling. Nebraska women's basketball is still in the top 25. and it's silly season in the transfer portal. Lots going on for Nebraska there. Tom, let's start with the basketball side of things, though. 16-0 now for the Fightin' Freds. They win their 2 Big Ten road games this week. They make it 16 in a row for this season, 20 in a row overall, and 5-0 when it comes to Big Ten play. Be honest, Tom, they go down 16. Did you think the Huskers had it in them to pull it off on the road?
No, I was I was watching on TV at home. I was getting ready to go to the Creighton game. I was going to be late, but I said, well, maybe I'll just maybe I'll just take off now, and I'll write about something later. And then, but then I kind of thought, you know what? I wonder if, and sure enough, I can't remember the sequence, but Sanford hit a 3, and then Jamarcus hit a 3, back-to-back threes, and all of a sudden Prager, who is this guy? He just like he just fell out of the sky this year. He just brought life to energy to everything. Every time he's in the game, he's just at some other different level. He goes in for a dunk. He hits a fadeaway 3, and you could just tell the Indiana crowd. We certainly had there were Nebraska media there. I was not one of them, but you could just feel the crowd on the TV. Just, oh my God, who are these guys? And they did it again. Austin, they show up at these road games and they get up to good starts. Saturday it was Lawrence. Every game it's somebody different, and they're just amazing. I mean, both of those road wins are impressive because I don't think people really were taking them. The Big Ten were taking them too serious. Like, oh, they're out, they're playing, they're hot, they're going to cool off eventually against Nebraska. I thought for Indiana that those obviously I think the only people in the state who weren't at the football game were at that basketball game, and they were basketball. That's their deal, and to have a top 10 team come in there, plus their basketball team didn't really have a good quality win. You would call I don't know about these quads, but when you're on the committee, you look at it. Okay, who did you beat? They didn't really have one of those wins that stood out. So a top 10 win would have been really good for them. And so I thought they're going to bring the heat, and the crowd's going to be crazy. In Nebraska, this can't last forever. So I figured this was probably the day. Well, they went to a whole other level, and it showed me that this, whatever you want to say about this team, say it. Whatever you want to dream, whatever you want to scenario you want to dream it, because they're playing one up that they could beat anybody right now. And I guess we'll find out when they go to Ann Arbor. But Michigan has to play Nebraska. That's how that game is right now. So they're fearless, and they're confident, and that's a powerful, scary thing if you're an opponent.
It sure is. And I'd been saying for a while the way to beat Michigan was bomb away over top, right? The front court gets a lot of the headlines. Wisconsin did that. It seems like Nebraska could be built in a similar way. But, of course, 4 games between then and now for the Huskers. Tom, there were points in both of the games over the last, 9 days now, that I thought Nebraska's undefeated run was going to come to an end. They start out pretty well against Ohio State. Buckeyes come roaring back. Nebraska's up at halftime, lets the lead dwindle. Buckeyes take the lead, and then here come the Huskers again. They close it out thanks in large part to Braden Frager down the stretch. Okay, so they talked me out of that one. I was wrong. It felt like it could have come crumbling down at that point, just for the night, not the whole thing, right? I don't think Nebraska's built on a house of cards by any means. And then Indiana, same thing. Nebraska starts hot. Indiana doesn't just lead at halftime. They're up by 9 points, multiple possessions, and Nebraska let that balloon to almost double that to 16. But Tom, I think the other part about this Nebraska team is that they're playing and winning the way that they're built to win. Improved defense, absolutely, but this team doesn't flinch when it's faced with deficits, let alone large deficits. I mean, they've come back from 16 down twice now. Against Oklahoma was the first one, and then this one against Indiana. but also because they leverage the threat of the 3-point shot, right? 16 points is a lot, but 16 points feels, a lot smaller when you can shoot like Nebraska did. They shot at 41% against Indiana. And so, yeah, a 16-point comeback is incredible. But for a veteran team like this that shoots the three the way that Nebraska can, yeah, maybe they're walking the high wire a little bit more than some fans are comfortable with. But it didn't feel like a huge shock, that they came back from down 16.
This is one of those teams that, they used to have in college basketball. There were teams that were together, that they grew up together as freshmen. And by the time that they were seniors, you had a team that knew each other back and front, up and down. And then you might insert a junior college guy, a junior college big man or guard in there just to add some depth or maybe fill in a spot. And this reminds me of those kind of teams. It's an older team. It's harder than hell to do that now in the portal. It's hard to keep guys, but it's harder even to get the right guys to come in, fit. Look at Creighton. They're having all kind of issues this year with that, and then they've been lucky, and they've had the right mix. And now they don't. Nebraska has the right mix, and it took a guy to come back. It was Jamarcus Lawrence comes back. Daniel Kalen. Hello, maybe he's the quarterback next. These things happen, and they come back. And then you've got Stanford. He plugs right in. His old buddy Josh Dix. Creighton has to do too much. They don't have a point guard, so he's got to do a bunch of stuff. Stanford just has to be Stanford. He just has to do his thing, and he does it very well. And these guys love playing together, and you could just, there's a chemistry there. And I felt like Lester Burkay was just people expected too much. We didn't really know what he could do, but he could do certain things very well. And then he gets hurt, and it just, I think this year there's no expectation on him. He's not supposed to carry anything. He's just supposed to do what he can do, and he's rebounding the hell out of it. And he's like the perfect sidekick for a rink. And you saw him in the interview room after one of those games. Maybe it was Wisconsin or something, where they were, Rink was like schooling him at the press conference, what he needs to be doing, next game. And there's a certain chemistry that's going on here that, I'm totally confident. Where if they go undefeated all the way, great. I'll write about it. Be happy to write about it. But they're not going to go undefeated, probably. So, but whatever happens to them, I have total confidence that they're going to get through it and they're going to handle it. They just have that feel about them. It's a team that, the best teams in college sports coach themselves, and this is one of those teams. They're coaches on the floor, and it's an older team, and those, that's what you want, and that's what every coach wants out of the portal. They want older teams, so it's great. I look around college basketball. It's college basketball in the last few years, because of the portal and NIL, you don't have the great dominant teams that you have. You used to have, you used to be able to kind of look at the rankings in January and go, okay, well, there's your Final Four right there. Mm-hmm. You can't really do that anymore. And so I'm not saying, I don't know, I'm not going to put any limits on this Nebraska team. But first things first, they got to win one game. But the more these guys keep going, they're 16 now. I expect them to get to 17 tomorrow night. And you go to Northwestern. They could hit 20 wins going into February. That's an amazing thing to even think about. You start doing those things, and then you're talking about a 1, 2, 3, 4 seed. You're talking about having a pretty good draw, or at least one that's manageable. You still got to get the right matchup, but when you get up to that level, you're going to be feeling pretty good. So I know Nebraska fans never feel really good, but they're always worried about that stuff. But I'm just saying, this is a team that I think can handle any situation, any team.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's been proven throughout the course of this season, because there have been some teams that I thought have been some relatively poor matchups for Nebraska in a stylistic sense. I thought Michigan State was actually a little bit better of a matchup for Nebraska, just based on the strengths and weaknesses of those teams. I thought Ohio State was not a great matchup for Nebraska, the way those two lead guards can go. I think Illinois matched them pretty well. And shoot, Tom, even Indiana doesn't really play through the post, where Nebraska likes to trap and get deflections. Indiana shoots a bunch of threes like Nebraska and does it at a pretty high clip. Nebraska this year doesn't feel as matchup dependent, even as the team that made the tournament 2 seasons ago did, right? They drew Texas A&M, that played a completely different style, and Nebraska really didn't have answers. This Nebraska team, in some what I would consider less than favorable matchups, has had an answer every time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You look at that game 2 years ago. I always go back to that A&M game in Memphis, and Nebraska didn't have a lot of scoring options, and they sure didn't have a lot of size or athleticism to match A&M. And A&M just kind of got out of control. But I think this team could handle that kind of game better. I really do. I mean, they could control the pace their way. I think the rebounding would be key, and on defense as well. But they're going to have more scoring options. This team is, and so. But let me ask you something. You're down in Lincoln, and the heart of the Husker Nation down there. The man on the street. And I've said since Fred got here, I thought he would be one. I don't know what he was going to do with Nebraska, but I thought he would turn this state onto basketball. And to me, he hasn't done that up to this point. But I think this year, there's something. People are starting to get into it. I mean, really get into hoops. And I think they've wanted to, but they've been sitting back, maybe afraid to jump in, afraid to get burnt. What are you feeling down there?
Yeah, no, I think that's a totally fair observation. And this is just anecdotal from the conversations I've had, and from even just our text line here at the station. For every one person that says, yeah, I know, I'm finally tuned into Nebraska basketball, this team is fun, I'm watching more than I ever have, there's someone that's saying, you guys are talking a lot of basketball with the football portal open. So I think it's going to take more than just 1 year, or even, 2 good years out of 3 for the general Nebraska populace to wake up to this team. But Tom, I do think that there's a reason this team is inspiring plenty of people to tune in. I think there's a reason it's capturing hearts and minds of not just Nebraska fans, but prognosticators and people across the country, is because I agree with Fred Hoiberg that this is an easy team to root for, right? There aren't a bunch of big personalities that are going to demand the limelight. There are a bunch of fan favorites, guys who are, lunch pail, blue collar, first in, last to leave sort of guys. I think Fred Hoiberg is getting his flowers the way he deserves. I do think there is still some of that trepidation, right? Nebraska fans just wanting to see the Huskers get over the hump with that NCAA tournament win. But I think for every one of the skeptics that just wants to see what happens in March, and that's going to be their test for if Nebraska is real or not, I think there's someone else who's already bought in. And even if they're not talking about it, are at least watching Nebraska on TV like they maybe haven't in years past. And I don't think, 2 or 3 good years is enough to sway the conscience of a fan base like Nebraska. I think they're just kind of in the, groggy stage of waking up from a long nap where they could, maybe have a dream about basketball here or there. But I think another 2-3 years like this stacked on top of each other, Fred Hoiberg's clearly got it moving in the right direction. And I think that this team is going to, in 5 years be looked at as a great entry point for a lot of Husker fans into this program and what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about it last week. The lightning strikes. Lightning can strike in the winter during basketball, and it happens. There's more chances of it than like football. There's more games, and the games are emotional, and they can be really close and dramatic, and you get 2 of them a week. But I look back at that. I've been very fortunate in my career to have seen a lot of cool games and stuff. And to me, nothing matches the Big 8 basketball of the 80s. And I really saw a lot of it where it began on a night of February, a Tuesday night in February in Ames, Iowa, where Iowa State upset Missouri, top 10 Missouri, in overtime on a last-second shot by this kid, Barry Stevens, who's like one of their all-time players. But we didn't know it at the time. Nobody knew. Johnny Orr was a funny guy, but that game started the Hilton Magic thing. And so I was talking to Fred about that, and he was at that game. He's like an 11-year-old kid up in the rafters with his parents. And I'm on press rows. We were there together watching this, but I said, I think Lightning is striking Nebraska this year. I don't think it's a game. It's not Michigan State. It's not any game that they're going to play. It's the team and the season they're having. I think they're just bringing people in, and I see it all over Omaha. Nebraska basketball has very little identity in Omaha. They just no presence. I mean, half the time I feel like they don't even try. People here are juiced up for this team, and they can't get enough. And I'll tell you what I saw 2 years ago that made me think that this thing is about ready to explode. I don't know if you went to the NCAA game in Memphis.
No, I was in Corvallis with the women's team.
Okay, I remember watching that. We're in Memphis at the FedEx Forum, whatever it's called, the NBA arena, and we walk into our seats on press row and we look around, and it's all Nebraska fans, and I've never seen that at an NCAA tournament like that, where it was the whole circle around was red, and Nebraska off to a good start, and the place was rocking. And people, other media people look around going, what the hell is this? And so you don't usually see that in the NCAA tournament. And that told me, man, and people drove to Memphis, probably from all over the Midwest or South or the Mid-South, whatever they want to call it. And maybe, obviously for Nebraska too, but they flew there, they drove there. And what's it going to be like this year? I mean, they're trending to keep winning. It's January 12th, keep winning. Mm-hmm. But Oklahoma City and St. Louis are going to be their natural spots if they're probably a top 4 seed. Mm-hmm. So imagine what that would be like. It'll be like a football deal. It'll be like one of those football trips where people show up and they don't have tickets, they're just showing up. I mean, so this is a fun deal, and I don't know where it's going, but that's the best part. It's just, you feel like it's just starting. It's just getting going.
And Tom, I think to wrap up the segment, we can go back to something you said and alluded to again right there, is you don't know where it's going to end up. You don't know if this is going to be the year for Nebraska to win that game, even if it seems like it. I've been somewhere in the middle of those two conversations of don't be afraid to dream big because this team deserves it, but also maybe follow this team's example and stay in the moment, right? Storm the court because it's exciting to beat a top 10 Michigan State team, but also act like you've been there and done it before. I think whatever direction fans want to go, if they want to dream big and have their sights set on March, if they don't want to get ahead of their skis and they just want to sit in the moment with this team, those are both completely viable conversations to have, viable positions to hold because of what you've said and because of the way this team continues to handle business. This doesn't feel like the 2013-14 team where it was kind of built on sand instead of stone, and it could all come crumbling down at a moment. It doesn't just a miracle run, a fluky run where a team got hot all of a sudden, and that's that. It feels sustainable, and Fred Hoiberg has continued to talk about how this team is mature and how it handles its business, and it appreciates the wins but moves on pretty quickly. If this was a team that was more emotional, riding the wave, kind of front runners, I would tell Husker fans, pump the brakes. Let's see them earn it over the next 15 games. But almost regardless of how the next 15 games go, not that they need my permission, but I'm cool with Husker fans, dreaming as big as they possibly want to, because I don't think any of that outside noise or any of those thoughts are infecting that team right now. And if they ever get there, I trust this team maybe more than any Nebraska men's basketball team to be able to deal with those thoughts in a productive manner and move on with business.
Well said. I agree wholeheartedly.
There we go. Let's call that a segment. We'll talk some Nebraska football in the transfer portal. What do the additions from Matt Rule say? A new coach there. What are the vibes around Nebraska football here as we are in mid-January? Tom Shatel with us on our Allo Fiber VIP line. I'm Austin Norman. We have more of the Husker Football Hour with Tom Shatel of the Omaha World Herald next after this.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas, and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Graham Tire presents life's greatest adventures.
Okay, take the worm, put it on the hook. Now bring your pole back and throw it forward. And just let the fish come to you.
I got a bite! It's a big one, Dad!
Great road trips start with great service. Graham Tire, your tire store next door, with 5 convenient Lincoln locations, getting you to the places that matter most.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their Contact Us page, and they'll get back to you. Call MWR today at 402-540-8966.
Back Nine Golf in South Lincoln is the premier indoor golf experience in the state. The weather in the winter months is cold, windy, and as unpredictable as a tee shot on the 450-yard par 4. With top-of-the-line full-swing simulators and a PGA teaching professional, Back Nine Golf is there to help you improve your game and lower your score. Back Nine Golf is open to the public with 24/7 access for members. Learn about Back Nine's variety of memberships today and see the facility for yourself at 7501 South 15th Street in Lincoln, just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Back Nine Golf, your premier indoor golf and events destination.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine. Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right, rolling along through Ticket weeknights, leading you off on a Monday evening. I'm Austin Orman, joined on our Allo Fiber VIP line by Tom Shatel of the Omaha World. Harold, Tom, I know I teased football going into this segment, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Nebraska-Oregon coming up, a game that is notable because of the head coach on the other sideline, Dana Altman. Obviously, plenty of ties back to the state. What are you looking forward to in Dana's return to Pinnacle Bank Arena tomorrow night?
Well, I believe this is his first time there, I think, isn't it? I mean,
True. Yeah, it must be.
I mean, he coached Lincoln at Oregon, but it was 2012, I believe.
That's right.
And the bank was open in 14, so 13-14. So I looked it up, man. His record, this will be his 14th time coaching in Lincoln as a head coach. I mean, he was an assistant with Lon Kruger at Kansas State for three or 4 years there. But his record isn't great. I thought it was better. He was 3-5 in Lincoln at Creighton, and he was 0-4 at K-State. He never won in Lincoln when he was the head coach of the Wildcats, and then he was 0-1 at Oregon. So, I think he won the one in 2012. So, yeah. So, yeah, he's I'm sure a lot of your listeners, you guys have to reach all the way down to the Wilbur, Nebraska, a community down there, the Czech capital of Nebraska, just 40 miles south. So Dana's a big Husker fan. When Tom Osborne left, he was, I don't know if I thought like he was banished from Nebraska for a while under Steve Peterson. He went to Creighton. He showed up every day at the Creighton athletic offices and was like, he was a consultant. Bruce Rasmussen brought him in and let him use his office to help just to kind of coach the Creighton coaches. And Tom spent a lot of time with Dana, and Dana was just thrilled by that. He learned a lot. But yeah, this is a big one for him. His dad and his brother, I'm sure, will be there, and he'll have friends from Omaha. I'm sure all the Oregon tickets went to all his buddies from Omaha. So yeah, it'll be good. And as I wrote for tomorrow, Austin, there's a kind of a cool connection that I asked Fred about last. Fred, Dana know each other from the business, and are friendly friends and stuff. But Dana coached when Fred was a player, so he remembers him as a player. But Dana leaving Creighton in 2010, a little bit of a surprise, happened quickly in April of 2010. That opened the door for Greg McDermott to come to Creighton and leave Iowa State, and that opened the door for Fred Hoiberg to become a coach.
Yeah,
he was just thinking about coaching. He'd never been a coach, and had never just thought about something that he might want to do one day. And Jamie Pollard at Iowa State, when Mac went to Creighton, Pollard called him immediately. He'd been thinking about it, and it just shocked everybody. Iowa State people were not expecting Fred to coach, and then he became a very good coach. So Dana leaving for Oregon and becoming Oregon's all-time winningest coach, and Greg McDermott all-time winningest coach at Creighton, supplanting Dana.
Yeah.
And now Fred has become this. He's still the winningest coach at Iowa State in terms of win percentage, and he's taking Nebraska where it's probably never gone before. So a lot of history there, a lot of stuff that opened the door when Dana left, and so I think of these weird things, and I bounced with our friend. He was all for it. He was yeah, Dana started a lot of dominoes to fall. So really interesting, for a guy like me who loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's one of those connections that once you connect the dots, it's funny to see it, even if you don't think about how intertwined they maybe are at the time. Tom, I know you know Dana a little bit. What makes him maybe the right coach for this Oregon team that's struggling right now? I mean, this is a guy that's used to high-level success, hasn't won, fewer than 20 games in a year dating back to his final year at Creighton. Even that was a blip on the radar because there was another, 12, 13-year stretch of winning 20 or more games every year. What about Dana Altman should give Oregon fans maybe some credit that hopefully for Husker fans, at least after tomorrow night, Oregon will be able to steady the ship, stabilize, and make a run at the NCAA tournament again?
Well, I mean, he's a hell of a coach. He's one of the best coaches I've ever been around, and he's not only has a system, but the culture is the way to do things. Nick Baugh always jokes, and when he imitates Dana, and it's funny when he gets to imitate him in front of Dana, but he always talks about you got to bend your knees. I mean, Dana's coaching. That's always one of those things, and you bend your knees and you're playing defense, and he yells at him for that. So, excuse me, he is just, he's Dana, and he's an old school guy who's done it the right way. Hard work, fundamentals, defense. But what I liked about him when he got to Creighton, he was one way, and then he said he was more of a sort of a walk it up style on offense, and pass it around, get the open shot type of thing. When he came to Creighton in '94 and he didn't have much talent, he said he just threw it up. He threw a caution to the wind and said, "I've got to change. I got to do something that nobody else in the Missouri Valley is doing." He went to this full court, up-tempo style, shooting threes and running and gunning, and which was not him. But he told me one time, he said, if you're in last place, you can't go vanilla. You can't do the same thing everybody else is doing. If you're going to move up from last place, you have to be a curveball. And I always remembered that. I always kind of thought, Nebraska needs to do something like that. No, it's, it's story now with him is the same kind of story with Mac Creighton. And how much longer is he going to go? I mean, he's 67. He's probably coached longer than I thought he would. These guys, like Bill Self's the same way. how much longer are they going to handle the portal? How much longer are they going to handle the NIL and the money? All these guys hate that stuff. It changes the locker room. It changes the dynamic of things, and yet some of these guys coach over all that stuff. They still get the message through. And every year, you just sometimes you go into the portal, you don't get the same. Some years are good in the portal, and some years aren't. And a lot of that stuff it goes year to year now. So, they'll be good. They'll be good tomorrow night. They'll play hard. They're going to do what they always do. And but they're just I think they rebounded. They got to a slow start. They've had some good wins, but I think they may have lost at Rutgers recently or something. But it'll just be fun to see him there. And I'll be curious to talk to him and Kevin McKenna. Kevin played at Creighton, and just these guys know Nebraska basketball. Well, I'm just kind of curious to get their impressions of the crowd and the scene at Pinnacle for their first time there, and what they think about this whole thing that this team is doing. And so I'll be probably hanging around their locker room afterwards, trying to get some of that stuff.
Well, Tom, it's coincidental, shall we say, that Oregon is in town tomorrow night. Maybe they will give a seat to QB1 on the return trip. Dylan Raiola commits to Oregon early this morning. From Nebraska's curveball, Nebraska football's curveball, like you just talked about, right? Trying to climb from the bottom middle of the Big Ten up to Oregon's fastball right now. Dylan Raiola goes to an experienced, established program that's had some really good success with quarterbacks, 3 good ones in a row now for the Ducks. What do you make of Dylan Raiola's relative silence throughout this transfer portal process and his ultimate landing spot up in Eugene?
Well, I hope he doesn't show up wearing a green tomorrow night. He's been known to go to Nebraska basketball games, but I hope he doesn't show up tomorrow night. That would be a little awkward. No, I don't think anybody has any ill will toward him or should. I think most Husker fans are expecting him to leave at some point. They thought, well, he's going to be the guy that is going to be here for a little bit, and then he'll probably leave. And I don't think anybody really has any kind of, I don't think anybody, maybe somebody's mad about this, but I think we all expected him to go to a program that had more things in place than Nebraska does right now. I mean, as we all see, Matt Rhule is still building. He's still trying things. He's still trying to figure things out. Still trying to get more talent, more bodies. So Dylan, go to a place that has the offensive line already figured out. It's already in place. It's got a culture that they win games. They know how to close, and they know how to win big games. And to me, the interesting thing is he said, through the Pete Thamels and the on threes are saying that he's going to sit out a year. I haven't actually heard him say anything, but apparently he's going to sit out if Dante Moore comes back. And that's a pretty mature thing for him to do. I'm a guy that's really bounced around looking for greener grass, most of his young life, in terms of football. For him to be able to do it, I think it's really a smart move if he does. The question is he going to do it? Is he going to have to do it? Because I think right now Dante Moore is a guy that would probably go 1 or 2 in the draft. Mm-hmm. But is he ready? And is that the smart play? Go to the Jets or the Raiders, who have nothing in place, and would feel all kind of pressure to throw one of the top picks in the draft on the field when he's not ready yet. And so I was thinking about this today. Who was the quarterback, the BYU quarterback the Jets drafted really high?
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name, and I said, "Well, exactly. I couldn't. Whatever happened to him? You know what I mean?"
Right.
So the NFL has swallowed up high draft picks, a lot of careers with a lot of potential because kids were in the wrong place, the wrong team, the wrong time. So, in a world of revenue sharing and Phil Knight money, could he possibly be wooed back to spend one more year to get ready in Oregon and make his money there? I think he could. So what Dylan will do, who knows? But no, I don't think. I think people were ready for a change. I think Dylan was just so big, and everything was kind of built around him that it just felt like everything was about him in some ways, and I think people were just kind of ready to kind of move on from that too. So, and so I think I think it's all good. I don't think there's any ill will or hard feelings there at all. So, but unless he shows up tomorrow night in green, I wouldn't recommend that. But anyway, yeah, Nebraska plays him right next year up in Eugene, and then he would come to Lincoln in 2 years if he's still there.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of defense Matt Rule has for him.
I'll say this on Dante Moore. It's hard to pass up that guaranteed money in a relatively weak quarterback class, even if you are going, to your point, Tom, to the Raiders and the Jets. I think it would probably be best for Dylan Raiola to take a page out of the Dante Moore playbook if he was afforded that opportunity to go be the starter somewhere, to come sit for a year, learn the system, learn the team, get ingratiated into the culture and all that good stuff. But that's the difference too, Tom, I think, between a program like Nebraska in a program like Oregon. That's a legitimate sales pitch at Oregon. Hey, we can afford for you to sit, develop, do what's best for your future by taking a deep breath and learning how we do things. I think it would have been great for Dylan Raiola if there had been an established starter in place when he came to Nebraska a couple of years ago as a freshman. He would have had the opportunity to take his red shirt to learn and then take over as the starter for the first time this year. But Nebraska was not in that position. I can just picture the Raiola family conversations. They really want me to sit for a year. How much worse than this other guy do they think I am? Do they really think this other guy's better than me? It would have been a laughable conversation. Dylan Raiola was clearly the best quarterback in that room for the last 2 years. And I think that's just one way you can look at the divide between a college football playoff semifinalist and a team that got beat by 30 in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Right. But we knew that. And we knew that when Matt Rule was hired, and we knew that when Dylan committed, that his role, anything he did on the field was going to be great. But his role was going to be to get the thing jump-started. Mm-hmm. He was going to be the energy, the magnet to pull other recruits in and give Matt Rule, coming from the NFL, give him instant credibility as a player, as a coach who attracts these kind of players. So that was going to be his role, and anything other than that was going to be probably gravy. And we'll see what he could do. He's going to play, and they went to 2 back-to-back bowl games, and he was all over it. I mean, when he was injured, they had 6 wins. They were already there, so you can't say they did it without him. I mean, he got the 6th win. He got, Michigan State game, Maryland game, Northwestern. I mean, he's so. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. I mean, I wish him well. I covered his dad. I really like their family a lot. They're a class act. I anxious to see him in the situation surrounded by other elite players. And but his offensive coordinator is the head coach now at Kentucky, right?
Yep.
So Klein. So they'll have a new coordinator. I'm sure Dan Lanning will choose wisely, and there you go. But he will be, unless there's a scene in the year or two where they're the last team standing, and he's on a stage on a football field, getting the national championship trophy handed to him. Other than that situation, I don't think he is going to be somebody that Nebraska fans are going to think about a lot or maybe remember too much. You know what I mean? I don't think he wasn't here long enough. He didn't pull on the emotions. There aren't going to be a lot of memories or highlights stuff that hopefully not getting sacked 9 times in Minnesota is a memory. If you want to forget that, flush it out. But you know what I mean? I think people will say thank you for your service, thanks for being here, and here comes the kid from Vegas. Here comes Daniel Kalen back. I mean, it's quarterback room is fun, and as I said, the Vegas kid looks like a lot of like kind of a character, kind of a guy. Maybe you a team rallies around, but I like to see Kalen. We know what he could do. We've seen him, and now he's grown up a little bit, and he might be a guy Daniel Holgerson falls in love with. So, I mean, this is good, and I'm sure he came back knowing he's going to have a chance. So, this might be fun.
It sure ought to be. I'll point people to omaha.com to read your latest, Tom, that we're talking about here. 2 other things here before we hit the top of the hour that stand out to me from what you recently wrote. First is Matt Rule taking, 14 or more transfers, probably not where he wanted to be, after year 3 heading into year 4, and maybe not where he wanted to be. Tom, is this Matt Rule just pivoting because this is the game he has to play, or is this Matt Rule maybe covering his butt for some lack of development that might have not occurred in the previous 3 years?
Well, I think it's harder to develop. I think the first year or two of any new coach, unless you're named Signetti, unless your last name is Signetti, and you're bringing 23 grown-up players from your previous team with you, the first year or two of any new coach there's going to be misses. There's going to be hits, and there's going to be some misses in recruiting. And you just got to get through those. And there were some of those, but the transfer portal, man, it's hard to develop. And that's I'm sure he thought coming here, and I know he said it, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to, and he bet Dion. We're not going to do that here. We're going to recruit high school kids, and we're going to develop them and bring them up the right way, and that's going to be the foundation. And I think you find out that it's hard to do that with the portal. It's hard to do that first couple of years. Some guys don't work out, or you just had this part of it. But I think also I can't. All these linemen are showing up now. It's like, I'm not saying it's because I wrote anything or anybody wrote anything, but there's an urgency in Nebraska that I think head coach always feels. I think this is his moment where he's starting to feel that a little bit. Like, come on, let's go. So, but I think, going into year 4, I guarantee you, I don't think he had any expectation that he would be so heavily into the portal. And that's fine. That's the game you play. And, it's like a little bit like gambling or hitting the lottery. These guys, you don't know what you say about JUCOs. Well, boy,
right.
You can't take too many of them, But
unless your last name is Snyder, of course.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I would just say real quick, I love the junior college angle here. I love the Iowa Western. Finally, I mean,
how many Nebraska hasn't really gone. They've lost a bunch of good players to neighboring programs.
And why not? What's been the delay in that? I mean, all that program does is win national championships and send players to the best programs in the country. I mean, and you're right down the street. Tom Osborne helped set the program up.
Yeah.
So I mean, so, but I think that defensive line, I think that's going to be fun to watch. They just hired a defensive line coach. I don't know why that took so long. I'm not worried about that. Or, I think he's from Ohio. Doesn't mean he's not this or that. He knows the defensive coordinator. I think there's a lot to be said for staff chemistry. So I'm looking forward to that. And offensive line, it's just it feels like we're going to have a whole new offensive line with a new offensive line coach. So I don't necessarily expect that to be gangbusters. I think it takes a long time to build a line. It takes at least a year, but we'll see. And I'm curious, as I know you are, what's the offense going to be? What are we doing? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? Are we doing everything or what? So those are questions that will be answered at I guess a later time, the spring maybe.
Indeed. Last thing then, Tom, you mentioned Iowa Western, right? Nebraska wants to replicate the success. What Nebraska doesn't want to replicate is being a feeder program with guys in and out. You wrote that in your piece as well. You said what Matt Rule doesn't want is for this to become a trend where Nebraska develops players and they leave for the top programs in the country. Nebraska wants to be one of those programs, obviously. Yeah, man, I mean, it's not often that Nebraska gets a 5-star quarterback. And not to cherry pick this one situation where I think you're right that it could have been time for a change and it might have been inevitable. But, man, this is where, having tangible signs of progress in the win-loss record would make it a lot easier for Nebraska to avoid falling in that, 5-7 to 8-4 range where your roster is ripe for the picking, but it's hard for you to get in the guys you might need to piece the rest of the roster together.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a trend. I think this was just a situation, a case of Dylan Raiola. That's just, he came in and he started and he developed. He spent his time here and now he's ready to go to another place. But some of that is the money, and as long as they can pay, they'll be able to get. They'll be able to I think I keep a lot of those guys here where they aren't going to Oregon or, somewhere like that. But I tell you, I still like the angle. Go get some FCS guys. Go get guys that are hungry. The Vegas angle, I like that a lot. Go get those guys. And the coordinator from San Diego State, I think there's a good chance that all these players and coaches are going to be hungry to show something and kind of prove themselves. So, and older guys, Fred Hoiberg is showing the way here, man. Older guys win in the edge of the portal. Old guys rule, and that's that's not just something I like to say, but it's just it's old guys rule, and it's I think you can. I was quarterback last year.
Yeah,
that guy's a dream. Comes in, he knows he's not scared of anything. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Nebraska needs more of that, and I know the recruiting guys will yell at me, and we need our 4 or 5 stars, man. But I like a little bit of spice in there too. A little bit of I'm going to show you what I got.
Nope, I think you're spot on. You can see what Tom Shatel's got going on, omaha.com on Twitter as well. Tom, as always, appreciate your time here on a Monday evening. Have yourself a great week and enjoy the scenes at PBA tomorrow night.
Yeah, thanks. And next week, national championship game will be Monday night.
It's true.
And so we'll be working around that. And then the Allen Trophy dinner is 2 nights later. I'll probably pump that up next week when I'm on the show. So
it's a plan.
There we go.
Appreciate it, Tom.
Right,
have a good week.
Thanks.
Yep. Tom Shatel, Omaha World Herald, with us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Aloe Fibers, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. For Tom, I'm Austin. Don't go anywhere. All in. Ridge Levitt, Caleb Smith, Nebraska Wrestling. That comes next.
Winter is just around the corner.